And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Armond Harris, who writes, "Hey, John and crew. So I just read some really disappointing news that both Marvel and DC will not be having any presence at the upcoming Comic-Con. Does this mark the end of the big comic book movies doing presentations at Comic-Con? What are your thoughts?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, in the last day or so, news came out. Of course, Comic-Con at home is coming up. I'm not going to lie to you. I completely forgot it was coming. I totally forgot it was coming. And I couldn't even tell you right now. I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. I totally forgot about this until this news came out, that both Marvel and DC were bypassing it. Now, last year, obviously, Comic-Con couldn't happen, so they did their virtual thing. It did not have great success as a virtual event. And so I think a lot of people, including myself, who am a big fan of Comic-Con, I love San Diego Comic-Con, but, you know, I look forward to it because I can physically be there. To be around 100, 200,000 other fans who have been looking forward to this all year, going there, sharing their joy and excitement of the content they love, whether it's comic books or movies or TV shows, whatever. Everybody's like cosplaying and having a good time, high-fiving each other in the streets. It's honestly, it's Rob, I say it's good for the soul. I love going to Comic-Con every year because it feeds my soul. Being around that many people who are that happy and having that good of a time. It's amazing, and it is the identity of Comic-Con. It's the identity of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The virtual thing is not going to be the same, and so not many people paid attention to it last year. Not many people have been paying attention to the fact that it's coming up this year. And so to hear that Marvel Studios and DC were both going to be skipping it, it caused some stir, but really to me, it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's a virtual event that last year, not many people were all that excited about. I think Marvel and DC, I mean, DC obviously has DC fandom. If you're going to do a virtual thing, they're going to have a lot more success with their virtual event anyway. But I don't think this at all, Robin, and maybe you disagree with me on this, but I don't think this says anything about the real Comic-Con in and of itself. Now, it's unfortunate that they still weren't quite able to do it live this year. They're going to do some kind of live event in November, which I will go to, even though I have no idea what they're going to have at. It's not going to be the full-blown Comic-Con, but at least it's going to be something live and in person.
Sure.
But Rob, even the last Comic-Con, the last live Comic-Con we had, Kevin Feige made big splashes and big waves at that thing. He brought out, you know, Jane came out, Natalie Portman came out, Taika Waititi got down on his knee and presented Mjolnir to Natalie Portman. You know, we had Mahershala Ali, and we, you know, it's just, they made a big deal and they made big splashes, and that was at the last Comic-Con. Rob, right now, listen, it's a long ways off, who knows? But when Comic-Con happens again, the real Comic-Con, I believe you will see Marvel return. And I believe you'll see, especially now that it's going to be under new leadership with Discovery, I think you'll see the DC return to it as well. You can still do your virtual events like DC Fandom, which they had great success with last year. You can still do that and be a part of the biggest pop cultural event in the world, which is, of course, San Diego Comic-Con. So, is it disappointing to hear Marvel and DC won't be a part of this thing? Sure, but I wasn't planning on being a part of it anyway. And it's not really surprising. It's only a virtual event. I think next summer, when Comic-Con returns in full force, I think at minimum you will see Kevin Feige return and bring a lot of good stuff with him. And I actually think you'll see DC return as well. So I don't really think it means anything. But Rob, you hear this. It's a little bit of a shocking headline when you see Marvel and DC skipping Comic-Con. What do you think the overall meaning of this is? Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they are supposed to be having an in-person Comic-Con, what, in October or November?
November.
So
to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. And I mean, this makes sense to me in the sense that, having these virtual events, they haven't been doing well. You know, Comic-Con last year, the virtual Comic-Con was not a big smash success. And there's been a lot of other events like the DC Fandom event that has done better and attracted more viewers. So I can understand. I don't think, going, if people, like, I was there when Tom Hiddleston came out in Hall H dressed as Loki. And I mean, it was like being at a rock concert. It was insane. And when they announced the Age of Ultron trailer, or the name Age of Ultron at the very end I was weeping because I love Ultron. And it doesn't, if you can't do that, if Kevin Feige can't hand over Mjolnir to Natalie Portman live with the screaming, almost 7,000 screaming fans, it's not really the same thing. It doesn't have the same impact on social media. You don't have people sharing videos. I understand. I totally get it. And now we live in a world where you've got to make your biggest splash, your biggest impact wherever you can. And I can see that decision being made. I mean, it's unfortunate because, the fans want these things, but I don't think anyone wants virtual Comic-Con anyway. It feels, if you can't do Comic-Con, don't do Comic-Con.
Right. Yeah. But,
that, I don't know if that's right, but that's kind of how I feel. As someone who's been going to Comic-Con for 3 decades, it bums me out when I can't go to Comic-Con.
Yeah. So, we'll see how this kind of evolves. Question is for you guys. What do you think about Marvel and DC skipping the virtual Comic-Con this year? Do you think that actually has any bearing on what will happen when the live events come back? I personally don't think so. But anyway, what do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.